Welcome to another episode of According to Amabile. I'm Michele Amabile, radio host of 107.1 The Boss. I am really excited about this one today because I go back to listening to this band like when I was like 11 years old. Starting with Rocking Into the Night. Love that song. And I cannot wait to see this band. They're coming to New Brunswick to the State Theater October 16th. It's going to be a great show. This is the band's first record in 20 years. It's called Milestone. They've got like more than 15 records, big hit songs. Hold On Loosely, Second Chance. We'll get into all of that. Please welcome Don Barnes. 38
Hey,
Special.
Hi, Michele. Yeah, I was 11 years old when Rockin' Into the Night came out too. That's
you
my
still
story.
look like you're 11 years old. You got that.
That's my story. I'm sticking with it.
You've got that youthful glow to
Oh yeah, rock and roll keeps you young, you know.
And you were saying you go way back with New Jersey with performing here.
Yeah, that was some of our first fan base up there. They were big Southern rock fans up there. Everybody, Skinner and Charlie Daniels, everybody used to go tour up there because we found we had a big following and people liked it up there. So there was a big pivotal moment in our career. We played the Meadowlands Arena. Of course, this was many years later, but we had built our following up from, clubs to theaters and then to the bigger arenas. And we have, every band has handlers and accountants and managers and everything. They were saying, well, you don't want to go in 24,000 people in Meadowlands Arena. And, you might not sell it out, or you want to embarrass yourself. You might want to go to Half House. We felt like the following and that we had gone up there so many times that the fans were going to come out. And let me tell you, we went ahead and did it. They were like, well, it's okay. It's your funeral. We went up there and we sold out all 24,000 seats up in Meadowlands Arena. It was a big pivotal moment in our career. It was like we finally felt like we had, made it at that point. So it was great.
Well, last time I saw you guys was at what is now the Cure Insurance Arena in Trenton. And that was double bill with Skinner. And I remember that was packed. People were so pumped because you were coming to Trenton.
Oh, yeah. We're always bringing the party, it's always a good time. And we unfold that history to all the fans out there. It's everything you want to hear through the band, through the history of the band. And, even songs from movies. A lot of people don't realize we did a lot of songs from movies. Back to Paradise, from Revenge of the Nerds, and Teacher, and all those movie songs. But we've had we kind of treat the show like a graph, like a ride, and we take the audience through all those years, all the MTV years, everything from the 80s on, and especially new surprises. We've got some new songs from the new album Milestone. I couldn't think of a better name to call it, the 50th anniversary, to call it Milestone. So that's what we went with, So we're
and the songs on this album, you're reunited with Jim Peterick.
Yeah, Peterick. Yeah, he's been an old songwriting friend of mine. We all 40 years ago we wrote "Hold On Loosely" together, "Caught Up in You," along with Jeff Carlisi, the original guitar player for the band. It was always great chemistry with him. We always had a good time. Songwriting shouldn't be a drudgery; it should be fun. So we always got together and had a few laughs and put some good songs together. And so he's been an integral part of the success of the band. And I wanted to return to the full circle with Jim Peterick and put some new songs down. But I wanted to go with this album to be a modern, updated album for 38 Special for 2025. We've been around a long time, and it's kind of this thing where you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you come out with something that sounds like 1986, well, the original fans just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, well, that's nothing new. That's just the same thing. But then if you come out with something that you've taken some risk as an artist and do something a little angular or something different, some of the older fans are scratching their head like, huh, this is 38 Special. But, you got to keep moving forward. You kind of dismiss yourself from those kind of opinions and just do what makes your heart sing and be an artist and take some risk,
I love so much so, right? And forgive me for saying this, but the guitar lick, I don't know why I'm having Nazareth flashbacks with Hair of the Dog. And I love that song.
I'll have to check that out. I didn't.
So good. That song's going to pop live.
Well, the opening line is pretty much, don't want to ever slow down.
Exactly.
the mission statement for this band. We don't ever want to slow down. It's like the famous coach Bear Bryant said, you know, we don't slack up, we stack up over the years. So we're here, we're 110% still out there rocking. We do over 100 cities a year, every year. So we've been doing that all these years. You know, the first album. The reason why we didn't put out an album was we pretty much were taking care of our own people, our crew and their families. We have 16 people out here with a lot of people. They're relying on this enterprise to keep solvent and keep moving. So, you know, we're taking care of our people. So they're and in the meantime, I had pieces of songs that had half of written or three-quarters written, and I would end up going with Jim Peterick. We started last year because of the anniversary. You always have to have a purpose. You have to, if there's a deadline, something you can work towards. So 50th anniversary was a good reason to bring those songs forward and write them to the wall, as they say, you know, bring out the best in it. And so we had a great time. All these guys are, even some of the new guys have been there 32 years. So it's like, you know, they've been several decades, but we
just still the new guys.
Yeah, the new guys. So we went in there and in the studio, we just evolved our parts. I told them they're so professional. These guys they make me look and sound good. So I'm surrounded by legends and kings. So they, you know, I didn't have to say anything to tell them what to play. The bass player Barry Dunaway, he's toured the world with Yngwie Malmsteen, so he's got a vast knowledge of all kinds of music, you know. So and anyway, Jerry Riggs is with the band. He was the band called Riggs years ago, and he's just a master. He dazzles them every night, you know. So it's my honor to have Jerry on stage with me. I told him, I said, Jerry, that stuff is just not on my guitar. I don't know. I need an upgrade or something, 2.0 or something. But he is a master at it. But he's just the nicest guy. All these guys. So we went in the studio and we turned the room mics up and got a little bombastic sound live, and we just played it live in the studio. And you know, after that, I had to go and fly to Chicago in January. Wrong place to be. And you know,
no, not a good
January. Ice storms and, you know, all kind of things. But yeah, it was funny. I came out, they had an ice storm overnight, and the rental car was out there. I needed to get to the studio, and I got my scraper out there, a half an inch of ice on the windshield. And I thought, the things I go through for this band, you know, just to get it going, you know. So it's been a labor of love, but we did it in phases. I took because we were touring so much, I took time to go in and record like 3 basic tracks, jump back out on the road and hit these cities. And you know, it's kind of a left brain, right brain thing. You go back out, it's like, oh, how's this go again? You know? So it was, we used Collective Soul Studio in South Atlanta. They're good friends of ours. And so we had a great time, and it built up. It really does kind of reflect that organic, you know, professional attitude, and so as a group effort, you know, so it worked out really great.
Well, absolutely a group effort. You even wrote a song with your wife.
Yeah, you know, the first single, "All I Haven't Said." It's first of all, it's kind of a throwback
nice
for me to these jangly guitars, and from the Searchers and the Byrds and all that. I was always a big fan of all that, and of course the relationship oriented songs we've always been successful with. "Hold On Lucy" was relationship oriented, everything like that. But I was sitting in the dining room table, and I was just kind of strumming chords one day, and she's got a musical head. She used to sing with a cover band before she got into the corporate world, you know, wealth management advisor, senior vice president, you know, way smarter than I am. So but she said, "What's that you're working on?" I said, just noodling around some chords." And she walked out of the clear blue and said, "That sounds like that should be called All I Haven't Said." I was like, "What? Say that again?" And so I said, "Where did that come from?" She said, "I don't know. It just sounds like it should be called that." I said, "You got any more compelling titles like that?" Because you should just play some more compelling chords, and maybe I'll come up with something. But so it was great. We sat down and we wrote some lyrics together, and it was really cute to watch her sign up for ASCAP, you know, and get her royalties. She's a songwriter. She got songwriter credit on the album, you know. And it was funny. She said, "Do I need to like start my own publishing company now?" I was like, "Honey, slow down a little bit. You're just your first song." But it was great, you know.
But not a bad songwriting partner to start with.
I'm telling you, there was a line in there that, you know, first of all, when you get a great title like that, you have to frame a story, and you think, well, what do you write about? And I thought of, men are in general not romantic, and sometimes they don't really know how to express themselves. And so it might be an older relationship that got complacent, and he's out in the shop, and she's feeling like she's not being heard, and maybe they had some kind of falling out or something. But he really did love her with deepest in his heart, and he just didn't know how to say it. And so that's what the framing of the song. And I told Christine, my wife, I said she had a band. Her band was called Damn It Christine. Wasn't that funny? Back in the '90s. But I said, what is the ultimate thing that a man could say for love for his wife? I said, what about, I would shout it from the mountaintops. And she said, ooh, what about I would write it across the sky? And I thought, wow, that is huge. So she really did help out in lyrics. That's really the imagery of that. Write across is large, So and then it was about 3/4 done, and I took it up to Chicago, and Jim Peter, we sat down and tweaked it and got it all wrote it to the wall and got everything fixed up there, put a bridge in it and everything. So it worked out really good. But yeah, that song is my diamond. I just out of the whole record, couldn't I couldn't have done a better job. I mean, just putting a story together like that. So it worked out really well. She's my good luck charm.
I feel like you have done romantic songs. By the way, Second Chance, like I love that song.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Love that
Bobby
song.
Caps, and then the live show, Bobby Caps sings that, the keyboardist, and it really the crowd are like, oh, So they do a great job. So
It's a beautiful song.
it is, yeah. And we like I said, we take them for a ride. We start off explosive and keep climbing, and somewhere around the middle we do Second Chance, give them a little bit of a break, and then just keep climbing with all the big hits and all the way to the end, Chain Lightning and all the production and the smoke and the lightning effects and everything. So, and then it's the big one, Hold On Loosely. That's everybody waits for that one. That was a long time ago, 1981, but it's
Oh.
still an anthemic song for the band all these years later.
Well, so's Caught Up in You, which to me is like emo, country emo. It's like such a
Yeah,
great.
it's all those songs were
Great
taken from
song.
real life experiences. I've said to other songwriters, you can write, you can say, "Ooh, baby, I miss you, I love you." You can say it all day long, but if it comes from something with truth and real life experiences, then people relate to it because you can't deny the truth. So, Hold On Loosely was we had just met Jim Petering the first day. We sat at this kitchen table, and myself and Jeff Carlisi, original guitar player with the band, and Jim, we just kind of introduced ourselves, and we'd already done 2 albums, and he said, "So how you guys been doing?" And I said, what is it about? I was in a relationship that was kind of going south, and I said, what is it about people that can't seem to tolerate their differences? They try to change the other person. They keep them under their thumb. And I had a little notebook of titles. Every songwriter has an antenna out and had little notebooks of lines and titles. So I said, what do you think about this title, Hold On Loosely? And he said, oh, yeah, but don't let go. And that was the first thing. There was a perfect couplet. It was the perfect bookends. And hour and a half later, it was written. And that's been an anthemic song all these years. People still come up and say, that song means so much to our relationship, our marriage, and all that. It made us change and all. And I was always going, really? Because that's not what we were trying to do. We were just trying to get on the radio. It's so hard to get
Oh,
in
I
there,
know.
get
The
in the
beauty
door.
in that song is the guitars. You get like the
Yeah.
beauty is the guitar. That's the thing I love about 38 Special Songs. Like, I can sing all the guitar licks.
Yeah, so we call it muscle and melody. You got a
Exactly.
muscular guitar with a good melody and a good story over the top. And hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we landed on a good style that worked for us through all those years.
But that continues on this album with some of the
Yeah.
collaborations with the songwriting on this like long train.
Yeah, Randy Bachman. It was a pleasure. I was honored to write with him. I told him, first of all, I found myself in Nashville for a day, and my publisher said, Randy Bachman's in town. Would you like to spend the day with him, try to write something? Absolutely, So I got in with a little studio. We were face to face, and I told him that I'd played all of his songs in high school, teen bands, teen dances and things.
Well, Taking Care of Business. Who didn't play that in the band?
Well, I mean, the Guess Who, the early songs, probably before your time, Michelle, but Shaking All Over, American Woman, that was I think what's his name? He covered that song. Who's the guy? Lenny Kravitz. But anyway, I told him we played all of his early songs, but I told him it was kind of a pivotal point in my life, my career. I was a young married man with a baby, and I was having to do day jobs, and around the early '70s, I was in landscaping. I was down digging holes for palm trees. They're about 5 feet wide, 5 feet deep, and I told him I was down there pushing the idiot stick, shoveling dirt from on a ground in the ground there in Florida. And I said, the radio was on in the truck there, and I heard the opening intro, the guitar intro to "Taking Care of Business," and I heard a blump, bump, ba da 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 da, and I'm down in this hole with the heat and the humidity of Florida. And I told Randy, I said, man, I started thinking, I can play that right there. That guy's on the radio. I can play that. If he can get on the radio, I can too. So I thought, I have to literally get myself up out of this hole and get to work. So that's what I did. And so he loved that story. And it's funny how life kind of dishes it out full circle. This many decades later, I ended up sitting face to face with him, writing a song with Randy Bachman, the guy that, kind of was a pivotal point in my life, So he loved that story.
Now, don't you think that's how Pat Monahan thought sitting with you, writing a song?
Yeah,
Slightly
Pat,
controversial.
I was a fan of Pat's too, but he had Pat from Train, the group Train. He and Joe Bonamassa had done a version of "Hold On Loosely" about a year before, and they released it to YouTube, and it got like 1 million hits, and so I'd heard it, and I thought they retained the intensity of the song and everything, did a good job. So while I was trying to travel and get studio work, I thought, I'm going to reach out to his manager and see if he'd like to come sing a song with me. He obviously liked that song. So his manager called back and said he would absolutely love to do it. He's been a lifelong fan and he'd be honored. And so he came in and he just crushed it, So we had a great time. He brought all that soulful ad libs and all the stuff he does, and great voice, and just the nicest guy, just a great, good-hearted guy. And he told me about he was from Erie, Pennsylvania. He said he'd seen us in concert. He remembers me, with the long coats and everything back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And so I told him, I said, hey, made a new friendship here. I said, between the two of us, we probably could scare up a pretty good song if we want to write together. And he said, oh yeah, let's do that. So he was all for it. So we'll be doing that in the future. It kind of opened another door of opportunity. So that'll be fun.
Now, you've worked with legends across the rock world. You've met everybody. Was there a piece of advice that just one lesson that stuck with you?
That to not try to follow trends of other groups, and it's a fickle public out there. If you try to chase that, you just do what you do. Bob Seger told me years and years ago, back in the late '70s, I think we played in a stadium. I think Kiss was headlining, and it was Blue Oyster Cult and Bob Seger and us. And for some reason, we shared a dressing room. He was getting ready to go on, and I think we had already done our set. But anyway, it was nice to meet him. I was always a big fan of his, and he said, just try not to follow those trends and chase after it. Just do what you do. Bring all your influences out, everything that makes your heart sing, And so I took that to heart, and it was some good advice. And Ronnie Van Zant from Leonard Skinner, he was about 5 years older than us, and he was a big mentor for the band. And we were at the time, we were copying groups that had already been out and trying to be the Southern rock, country-ish kind of thing. And he said, stop trying to be a clone of everything that's come before you. Try to find what makes your heart sing, what your influences are. And we realized we were more muscle and melody oriented, with the Beatles and the Searchers and the British Invasion, basically Animals. We liked all that stuff, like harmonies. And so that's why we're different from those other Southern rock bands. They're more blues based and linear. It's a lot of straight lines that go through it. But I was always kind of an attentive student of good songwriting and good choruses and good hooks. So I think that separated us from all of them. We came from Jacksonville, Florida, which was a Navy town. There was about 4 naval bases there. And all of us at young age, 15, 16 years old, I'm talking about Dwayne Allman, Greg Allman, Ronnie Van Zant, all the Molly Hatchet and Blackfoot. We all played the sailors clubs, enlisted men's clubs on the bases. So we played cover songs at the time. We had little kid bands, and the sailors would be on leave and they'd come in and we'd watch them drink and fight and everything. So we're up there underage, we're playing these cover songs. But what we didn't realize at the time was that we were absorbing the foundational aspect and the fundamentals of songwriting at a really young age. So everything you practice these songs from the Doors and the Young Rascals and Three Dog Night and all those songs back in the early days, Santana. But you start seeing where the payoff is on the song and the structures of songwriting, because you got the pre-chorus and you got the bridge and the outro and everything that puts in all the ear candy, and the cherry on top is that chorus. So we started learning all those factors of it and kind of piecing the puzzle together. And then you get a little cocky and you start thinking, well, I can write my own songs, and that's when you go starve for the next 10 years. So not something I highly recommend.
You mentioned the Animals. I know Bruce liked to play the Animals. Springsteen. Did you ever have any run-ins with Bruce? I know Julianne Phillips was in your video.
Yeah, Julianne was in the If I'd Been the One
Right.
video up in Canada
with the 38 special.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. I forgot that she had that gun in her hand. Yeah, but that was up in Canada. All the wheat fields had been harvested across the U.S., and the director wanted to have some flowing wheat, blowing in the wind, and so we went all the way up to Alberta, Canada, where they had not harvested all the wheat yet, and so the whole crew, is 50-person crew, video crew, came up there. So that was pretty cool. They had stampeding horses and the house on fire and all that. So it's amazing how the wranglers handle those horses.
Really?
It was about 30 of them stampeding across the back of you, about 5 feet behind you, and the ground is rumbling, the earth is rumbling as it comes by. But what they do is they just put the mare and the foal over on one side, and all the stud horses their nature is to protect the foal and the mare. And as soon as the wranglers turn them loose, they just go screaming across the screen, and then just go on the other side and stop. And so they did that all day. The wranglers just move them. They'd move the mare and the foal over on the other side, and then let them go, and they'd run across there again. So it was. They told us to put our arm. If the one comes right at you, put your arm straight out like a scarecrow, and they'll run around you. That didn't work out so well. I think Donnie Van Zant had to jump into the window of one of that old house there, which that house was a national landmark. It was a historical landmark, and they put pipes with gas, flames coming out. They'd light it up. It looked like it was on fire. As soon as they yell cut, they had the fire department out there hosing it down for the next shot. So it was pretty interesting watching them do all that,
Music videos in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
were just insane.
They were expensive too, and now you've got these visualizers that you just ask an AI, you put it in a computer, and they'll come up with our latest one. So much so right. There was a kind of a James Bond theme, and they basically nobody in that video is for real. It's all AI generated, and it's a lot less expensive, but it's it's good things to look at. Even better production than you could actually do with a full production video shoot. So interesting to watch that.
Well, you had many great experiences. You brought up Revenge of the Nerds, Back to Paradise.
Yeah.
So you're basically what is that? 6 Degrees of Separations from Melrose Place with Courtney Thorne-Smith.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think the Nerds won on that movie, right? They ended up winning both of them. So yeah.
What a great movie. You cannot do a movie like that today and get away with it, with some of the stuff they put in those movies. But I'm really excited for this tour to come through New Jersey. A couple of rapid fire questions, just a couple of fun questions. What is your favorite go-to snack on the road?
I got a weakness for Cheez-Its, I guess, it's always a good snack, but the catering, they provide pretty good food, but that's something like that. Probably Cheez-Its, and and banana nut muffins in the morning with coffee. So that's pretty. We all go for that, you know.
How about IHOP or Waffle House on a stop?
Oh well, that we generally just go and eat in the hotels. But yeah, you mean the difference between IHOP and Waffle House? Yeah,
If you had to pick.
probably IHOP, I guess. I don't know. Waffle House is fairly cheap, so I don't know. You get a lot of grease, you know.
Most memorable band you toured with?
Oh wow, we've been with everybody. There probably ZZ Top. We were the support act and on a 3-act show, and we were in the middle slot. And we played with them back in the 70s when they hadn't changed their look yet, and then they took a 3-year hiatus, and no one knew what happened to them. We're still out touring and everything, and we opened another leg of a tour in Portland, Maine, and we had 8 people on stage, 6 of us in the band, and then 2 background singers. So we were out there, and we just killed. That place was screaming, and we killed. So we hadn't seen ZZ Top after all those years, and we thought, it's only 3 guys. We just had 8 people up there really doing it. So we were standing out on the floor next to the stage, and they busted out with the beards and the bowler hats and everything. 3 guys, and our jaws just dropped, and we just thought, wow, they're like cartoon characters. They completely transformed all those years later. So, and then of course they were just low down Texas blues. So we loved all that stuff. So that was really a big impression on us. We realized, oh, you got to kind of get outside yourself. You got to be 50 feet tall up there. You can't just be your normal regular self. You got to go. It's all show business. You go out there and you got to get outside of yourself and be bigger than life.
Well, then they changed over to the Eliminator, and that was
Yeah, oh yeah, the beards and all that, and their little dance steps and everything. But I've grown to be friends with Billy Gibbons after all these years. I've done some personal appearances with him. With the personal appearances, they'll hire like a corporation will hire like 5 different singers from bands, and they come out and you sing your hits 4 or 5, and then you go have a glass of wine and watch the next guy come out and do his hits. So. Yeah, we've had Mike Reno, Kevin Cronin, everybody through the years. The guys, and Tommy Shaw came out. But anyway, Billy is just a great guy to sit and talk about history, and he has such a vast musical knowledge. His father was the head of the Houston Symphony. People don't know this, and they came from Houston, and anyway, he's just like I said, musical knowledge, but he's a completely different person off stage. He's real kind of mild mannered, but up on stage, he's the cartoon character. How, it's all that.
They just played See Here Now, and it was so good.
Yeah. He's such an enigma, he's a mystery. He loves being strange,
He tried to get the crowd to sing 16 tons and what do you
get? Yeah.
Everybody looked confused. I knew it. I was probably the one in my section going.
Tennessee Ford, that was the original one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So he does all kind. It was funny. He did an interview with the Guitar Player magazines when I think it was Eliminator came out, and they were talking about his guitar sound and all that. And how did he do it? He goes, oh, we had something called an amp cabin. We would put all these amps on the floor, and then we would put a big piece of plywood over it and have microphones on the amps, and we'd mix all this stuff in. And so later on, I started working with Joe Hardy, who was a producer for ZZ Top. And I asked Joe, I said, so what is about these amp cabins he was talking about? He put these plywood over these. He said, what are you talking about? I said, yeah. He said he lined up, Fender amps and Marshall amps, put plywood and microphone. He said, he didn't do any of that stuff. He said that was a Rockman, the Tom Schultz from Boston designed a Rockman plug-in, and he said he did the whole record with just a plug-in Rockman. I'm like, he just wants to say things that are just outrageous, so people go, "Wow, amp cabin! I've never tried that." And that's the kind of guy he is. You can never get the straight truth out of him.
Well, in a way, that's endearing.
Yeah, he likes to be in a mystery. Yeah,
the mystery man.
Right.
This was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the show. Milestone is the album, first studio album in 20 years. You're not going to take that long in between the next record, right?
No, like I said, we were just taking care of our people, and we were having a great time doing 100 cities a year and getting home for the holidays and having a life. So, but like I said, through the period of time, we did absorb some ideas and had pieces of songs. So I thought the 50th anniversary was a great purpose to put it and put the work in, finish all these songs and get it done. So it's a great ride. There's a lot of different diverse songs. You know, one's a big guitar banger. The next song is kind of a mid-tempo introspective, you know, so it goes up and down. We try to take it for a ride. So milestone was the only reason I could call it that. It was the only word I could think of for 50th anniversary. So we did feel like we met the moment there, you know.
Well, if I might make one suggestion, See Here Now on the Beach in Asbury Park is a blast.
Yeah.
Consider coming and playing on the beach for us. I would
Yeah,
love it.
that would be great. We would love to do that. And we really appreciate everybody making us a part of their lives all these years. We didn't realize that those songs would become the fabric of their life. You know, people come up and you talk about all these songs, and it was just us trying to stay in there fighting. You know, it's a tough business and get it on the charts, and it's the music business. You know, it's not something I recommend. You know, it's like I tell these young guys, if you absolutely have to do it, you know, that's different. But if you're doing it for the party and you know that kind of thing, that you're not going to make it. You got to be an artist and really get your craft together and learn what to do. Be an artist. Yeah.
And you got to have those earworms too, like Back Where You Belong. I love that song too.
Yeah, yeah. So we all of these songs we call them beacons. You got to put a beacon on this so it jumps out of the radio at you. You know, Hold On Loosely was like even the new song All I Haven't Said off of Milestone. It has that beacon. There's a lot of songs on there. Looking for My Life has that same kind of call to arms. You know, it's a beacon. We call it a beacon because you know you can write a song with the chords, but then it's like, well, what kind of intro do you want to put? Well, let's put something exciting so it jumps out, and then goes into the song, you know. So that's a little trick, songwriting.
And it gives us DJs something to talk up.
Yeah, there you go. Threw over the intro, right?
Although, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't like that so much. I'd have the cassette and I'd be going to record.
Oh yeah, well that's different. Yeah, we went through all the cassettes and CD 8 tracks. I've signed 8 tracks recently. I don't know where
Really?
they had them. They got them in a garage sale, I guess. I don't know, but we were around with 8 tracks back then. You know.
Absolutely. Don Barnes, 38 special. Thank you so much. Cannot wait for the show. State Theater, New Brunswick, October 16th. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming on According to Amabile. This was a delight.
it's been my pleasure. Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for having me on, and good luck with your career. I wish you all the best.
And I wish you all the best on the road. Hope to see you real soon. It's According
Thank
to
you.
Amabile. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Don, for
Yeah,
joining us.
everybody check out Milestone. You'll like it.
Oh, I
Thanks,
believe they.
Michelle.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.